Hello everyone, welcome to the e-learning classes for class 8. Today I will be taking your class on the lesson from your English textbook. So the lesson name, the very first chapter, The Best Christmas Present in the World by Michael Morpurgo. So before we take on to the story, I will be giving you some introduction so that you have a better understanding of this story. So here you can see in the very beginning, the section before you read, so there is a date 1914. A date has been mentioned 1914. So what is the importance of 1914? 1914, it was the time of the First World War, okay, a huge war. So First World War was fought between two groups of countries, okay. So in one group there were countries like France, Britain, USA. In the other side, Germany, Italy, these were the countries, okay, Austria, Hungary, these were the countries on the other side. So they were having the war. The cause of the war, you can read in the history, there are many causes behind the war. I am not going to that details. So one war was happening, and what effect does a war in such a big extent actually makes in the life of people, lives of the normal people. So in those countries there is a system, whenever there is any kind of war, everyone, means all the men who are adult, okay, not very old, not very young. So all the men who are adult and able to work, no matter in whichever profession, they can be doctors, they can be teachers, they can be musicians, okay, everyone has to contribute towards the war. How to contribute? They had to go for the war, means they have to take the arms, they have to go to the field, they have to face the battle. So it's not happening in our country, we are safe, but in their country it used to happen. So that was the sad part. So everybody has to take that training, okay, if to join the army whenever it was required for the nation. So such things was happening. So in this story, it is also just a very small part of that war. It's a very short story of a person's life. Okay, I am not telling whether the story is true or not, it's not based on that, but here you have to understand the emotion behind people, okay, the emotional stage of a person. Here what happens, we will come across the name, that is Jim McPherson. So Jim McPherson, he was a soldier, he was a British soldier, and he went for the war against Germany. So he was battling against Germany, his entire team was on that battle, and he never came back from the war, and he hoped that he will come back from the war to his wife, to his home, but that never happened. So as a result, the wife kept on waiting for him. Okay, the wife kept on waiting until she became old, and she became really very old, 101 years old. So till that time the wife waited. Why the wife waited? Because he has written one letter to her, okay, before the new year, during the Christmas, he has written one letter to the wife, and in that letter he made a promise, some kind of promise or some kind of assurance that next year Christmas we will be celebrating together, because by that time the war will be over. But that promise never happened. The promise was not fulfilled. Now let us come to the story. I spotted it in a junk shop in Brickport, a roll-top desk. The man said it was early 19th century, an oak. I had wanted one, but they were far too expensive. Here we are talking about the narrator who is telling the story. So he wanted to have a roll-top desk, a kind of desk made up of oak, but to buy certain desk, it will be very expensive and he can't afford that much of money. This one was in a bad condition, the roll top in several pieces and one leg clumsily mended. So he went to a junk shop to buy a second hand product and he found exactly what he was looking for, but the only problem was that it was in a damaged condition. It was not quite fine. Clumsily mended, scorch mark all down one side. It was going for a very little money, and the good thing was that he was able to buy that in a very less cost. I thought I could restore it, and he hoped that he will be able to mend it and make it fresh once again. It would be a risk, a challenge, but I had to have it. I paid the man and brought it back to my workroom at the back of the garage. I began work on it on Christmas Eve. So he thought it's going to be a hard work challenge, because it's going to be a hard work because lot of efforts need to be put over mending that thing. So finally he bought it. He brought it in his garage, in his working place where he has to work, and he started working on it. I removed the roll top completely and pulled out the drawers. So he just removed the things whichever was damaged. He pulled out the drawers. The veneer had lifted almost everywhere. Veneer means a very thin, thin cover, the thin surface that we put over the wood to make it attractive and good. So that has come out, so it has to be removed. The veneer had lifted almost everywhere. It looked like a water damage to me. Both fire and water had clearly taken their toll on this desk. So it was looking like as if it has been damaged because of water and also because of fire. The last drawer was stuck fast, but he was not able to pull out the last drawer. It was somehow tight. I tried all I could to ease it out gently. In the end, I used brute force. I stuck it sharply with the side of my fist, and the drawer flew open to reveal a shallow space underneath, a secret drawer. Now he put his entire force, he put the pressure, and finally he was able to take it out. Once he has taken it out, he discovered there was a secret chamber, a kind of secret space inside the drawer. A secret drawer. There was something in there, and he found out something there. I reached in and looked and took out a small black tin box. Cellotaped on the top of it was a piece of lined note paper. So there was a box, a black color box, and it was sellotaped, and over the box there was a note. And what was written on the note? And written on it in shaky handwriting, when someone has written with handwritten, Jim's last letter received January 25th, 1915. So this was another important date. So here the owner of this desk, the owner of the desk has received one letter from a person called Jim. So the owner mentions that received from James, and she is mentioning the particular date, that is 25th January 1915. And she also mentioned to be buried with me when the time comes. That is a note for whoever discovers this particular thing. Okay, so her wish is that when she dies, she won't come up from her grave and tell that please put it inside my grave. So she has sent a message that when I die, this must be put in my grave. I knew as I did it that it was wrong of me to open the box, but curiosity got the better of my scruples. It usually does. So it was not a good thing to open and see what is there, because it's someone's personal thing. Okay, it's quite indecent. It's not a good manner to look into someone's personal matters. But here this narrator, he knew in his mind, he knew that I must not open it, but he wanted to know what was written there, why it is so important, like mentioned in such a way, such an important way. So he was not able to resist his temptation and his curiosity. He opened it. Inside the box there was an envelope. The address read, Mrs. Jim McPherson, 12 Copper Breaches, Brickport, Dorset. I took out the letter and unfolded it. It was written in pencil and dated at the top, December 26, 1914. Another date. So he found one envelope and on the envelope there was an address. There the owner of the letter is Mrs. G. McPherson. So the letter was given to Mrs. G. McPherson. So it is supposed to be the wife of Jim McPherson. Okay. So Mrs. G. McPherson and her address in Brickport, wherever the street name, the locality name, it has been provided there, and then it was mentioned that in which date the letter has been written. The date was December 26, right after the Christmas, on the next day of Christmas of 1914. 1914 means when the First World War was going on. So this will be the first part of today's lesson. This is the first part. We will be going on with the second part. In the second part, we will be getting that what exactly was written in that letter. The second part will be completely about the letter where Jim McPherson will be writing towards Connie. So that we will take up in our next class, and then in the end something else will happen. We will go on the second part in our next class. So that's all for today. Hope you enjoyed the class. See you soon.